Okay, fam, can we clock it? Ain't that what the young folks say? I tried everything to lose weight and nothing worked until I discovered these 6 hormone mistakes that were sabotaging me the entire time. Listen, I lost 100 pounds in my early 20s and kept it off nearly 20 years. But then life happened. I got married, built a career, and had a whole human, and that still sounds crazy to me. Y'all, pregnancy and new mom life completely changed my mind and my body. And I struggled for a year trying to learn my new body and how to get it back on track. I wanted to feel like me again. But since January, I done lost over 40 pounds. Round of applause. Only after I stopped making these critical hormone mistakes that 95% of women are making right now. Now, hey, y'all, if you're new over here, I'm Dr. Nina, your mind-body transformation specialist. And if you've tried everything and you're still struggling with stubborn weight, y'all know what I'm talking about. Energy crashes, and you feel like your body is working against you. This video is about to change everything.
Dr. Nina, the girl next door, beautiful brown baby doll.
Now, before we jump in, I'm a licensed psychologist with extensive training in mind-body health, and I've lived through both sides of the struggle, so I can show better than I tell. When I first lost over 100 pounds years ago, I really thought I had it all figured out. Now, fast forward to my late 30s, married at 38, promoted to full professor, and then had my baby at 40, and suddenly my body decided to throw all the curveballs that I wasn't quite prepared for. Click like if you can relate. Now listen, I pumped breast milk until November of 2024. So my body was still in that postpartum healing phase, which, baby, definitely affects your hormones. And I felt like I was doing everything right around that time. Eating healthy, working out, getting sleep. I even called in the professionals, but my body simply wasn't responding the same. Now let me say this, before you change anything into your extended health routine, check in with your doctor first. This content is for educational purposes. Your health journey needs to be right for your body and your specific situation. And speaking of resources, I've got everything you need over on my brand new website, including my boundary setting checklist and goal setting worksheet. My gifts to you. Plus, check out my LTK or Amazon storefront for all of my favorite health essentials. And they're affordable. And my Now That's Life podcast is on season 2 right now. And that's where you're going to get deeper dives into all of this good stuff. Now, if anything I talk about today sounds familiar, hit that like button. It helps our great community to grow. And drop a comment letting me know any struggles that you've been having or any wins that you've been having in your health and hormone journey. You know, I love connecting with y'all and commenting back. Now, let's talk about these good old hormone mistakes that kept me stuck for way too long. Mistake number 1, and this was my biggest mistake, and I find that it's the mistake of others. Ignoring the early warning signs of insulin resistance. Y'all, I was experiencing textbook insulin resistance symptoms. And get this, I had no idea. I'm talking that 3 p.m. energy crash. You know, where you face first in a candy bowl somewhere that you ain't got no business. Now, here's what was happening. When you eat, your body releases insulin, and that's to help glucose get to your cells for energy. But when you insulin resistant, baby, it's like your cells have put up a do not disturb sign. The glucose can't get in, so it gets stored as fat, especially around that midsection. Hello, belly. Not like a little cushion, but... So here were some of the red flags that I ignored. Energy crashes 2 to 3 hours after eating. Cravings for carbs and sugar, especially in the afternoon. That muffin top that seemed impossible to lose. Feeling shaky or irritable when I was hungry. And even dark patches around the neck. Now get this, nearly 88% of American adults have a metabolic dysfunction of some sort, which often starts with insulin resistance. And for women over 40, we're even more susceptible. And that's because declining estrogen makes our cells less sensitive to insulin. Let's talk a little bit about a bonus tip here. The collagen connection. So before we move on to that mistake number 2, I want to share something that's been game-changing, and this portion of today's video is sponsored by Needed. And y'all know I'm all about the science, and I'm all about things that I actually love, and I've been able to try Needed for over the past few months. I've even showed them to y'all before. Now, here's why this all blew my mind. Our natural collagen production begins to decrease in our early 20s. Collagen is rich in specific amino acids, like glycine and proline, that actually support healthy blood sugar regulation. So when I actually started adding high quality collagen to my morning routine, I noticed that my energy was more stable throughout the day. No more of those afternoon crashes. I actually love Needed's collagen because it's not like the other ones. It's not loaded with artificial sweeteners and fillers. This is pure grass-fed, hydrolyzed collagen that dissolves completely without screaming in my coffee. No lumpiness. And y'all, I'm always worried about covering up taste with supplements. But with Needed, I don't taste anything, and that's a win. Right now, Needed is offering an extra 20% off your first order. Winning again. I'll put the link in the description, or you can use my code drnina at checkout. Trust me, this is the collagen upgrade that your morning routine didn't even know it needed. Bars. And now we move into mistake number 2. I accepted being chronically stressed as normal. Without even realizing the elevated cortisol, it was keeping me in fat storage mode 24/7. And I know you're supposed to be tired with a newborn and all of those different things, but I had significant amounts of help and it still didn't seem to be getting better. Listen, I was living with what I call superwoman syndrome. Full rank professor, new mom, trying to be the perfect wife, creating content, and nobody was putting this pressure on me. It was me. I was super proud of how much I could handle. But my body, baby, it was screaming at me. I was waking up at 3 a.m. with racing thoughts, craving salt and sugar all day, and my belly fat seemed to be getting worse, even in a longer period of eating clean and exercising more. So here's the cortisol connection. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol to deal with the threat. But cortisol also signals your body to store fat, especially visceral fat around your organs. Big no-no. And it's thinking that you'll need that energy reserve for survival. And y'all, I had what researchers call the cortisol belly. You know, that stubborn fat that sit right up under your ribs, looking like a donut for me. No amount of crunches was going to fix a hormonal problem. And the research is clear. Chronic cortisol elevation leads to increased appetite and cravings, slower metabolism, fat storage in the midsection, disrupted sleep, which creates more cortisol, insulin resistance as well. You see how all of these hormones work together? My breakthrough came when I realized that my body didn't know the difference between running from a bear or running from deadlines while caring for a new baby. The stress response was exactly the same. My body was not telling the difference. The solution was learning how to support my nervous system and specific nutrients that help to regulate cortisol naturally. Boom. Now, mistake number 3, this is a big one and I'm going to step on some toes. I accepted normal thyroid labs when my body was clearly telling me something was off or wrong at some point. When my husband and I were exploring the IVF option, we had to see an endocrinologist, and she ran in-depth labs that hadn't been run by my primary care physician. And there was a time that I was going to my primary care doctor because I felt exhausted. I had gained a little weight. I was losing a bit of hair, and I was feeling cold all the time. And this happened even before conception. Plus, at one point, I had caught a large pneumonia. Okay. Left lung just full. Now, my primary care doctor is actually very thorough. Hey, Dr. Moon. At one point, we found that my vitamin D levels were very low, and it was causing a lot of these symptoms. And she also looked deeply at my thyroid, which seemed pretty normal on basic testing. After my vitamin D stabilized, everything pretty much went back to normal. But then we got to the endocrinologist for the fertility workup. The first thing she looked at me and said is that we had a whole bunch of tests to run, including in-depth tests on my thyroid. What you need to know is that your thyroid is like the CEO of your metabolism. Not like that cheating one, you know, from when Cole played. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Determines how fast your cells burn energy. When it's not functioning optimally, everything slows down. But here's the problem. Just like STI tests, most doctors only test TSH and T4. That's like judging a company's performance by only looking at the CEO's memos. You need to test something called free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and thyroid antibodies. When those comprehensive tests came back, here's what I learned. My levels were actually fine, but this experience taught me so much about thyroid testing. For example, TSH may be normal in the 0.5 to the 5.0 range, but optimal for fertility and feeling your best in your health is closer to 1.0 to 2.5. And when people do have issues, they may have free T3 in the bottom ranges or even elevated thyroid antibodies, indicating autoimmune activities that those basic tests might miss. Now, in my case, like I said, my levels were fine, so I didn't need any extended thyroid support. But for those who do have those issues, getting support and treatment can be life-changing. Energy returns, hair stops falling out, and the body can start responding to diet and exercise like you would expect it to. But remember, you know your body better than anyone. If you feel like something is wrong, keep on advocating for yourself. I don't care who seems to be listening. And that's until you get answers. Sometimes it takes the right doctor, asking and answering the right questions. Okay, y'all, mistake number 4, missing the signs of estrogen dominance, which was making me gain weight no matter how perfectly I ate. Estrogen dominance doesn't mean you have too much estrogen. It means you have too much estrogen relative to your progesterone. And baby, this was happening to me just a little bit in my late 30s. So here's the signs I was missing. Weight gain, especially in the hips and thighs. And I always been a thigh girl. Feeling even more emotional after my period. Bloating that made me look 5 months pregnant some days. days. What? Tender, swollen breasts and sleep disruptions in the second half of my cycle. I remember thinking, why do I have a BBL booty when I, had a nice one, but my goodness. Turns out, estrogen dominance helps you to store fat in your bottom half. So here's what happens. Estrogen promotes fat storage and water retention, especially when it's not balanced by adequate progesterone, which promotes fat burning. So you get stuck in storage mode. And our modern lifestyles make this even worse. Xenoestrogens in plastics and personal care products, chronic stress, depleting progesterone, poor liver detoxification, and high sugar diets that can disrupt the hormone balance. And I had some of that going on. Now, the natural solution for me was helping my liver to naturally metabolize all that extra estrogen, reducing a lot of the toxic load, and supporting progesterone production naturally. This meant eating things like cruciferous vegetables, reducing as much plastics in my daily routine as I could, managing my stress better, easier said than done, and prioritizing sleep, especially in the second half of my cycle. And y'all, when I got all of this balanced, the stubborn fat started coming right on off. Now, mistake number 5 was ignoring leptin-resistant signals and wondering why I was always hungry, even after eating plenty of food. And this was so frustrating because I felt like my hunger cues were completely off. I could eat a full meal and then turn around, want to eat everything up an hour later. I'd be looking at Sean like, what you got over there? Leptin is your satiety hormone, and it's produced by your fat cells. When it's working properly, it travels up to your brain and it says, we've got enough energy stored, you can stop eating now. But when you're leptin resistant, the more body fat you have, the more leptin you produce, which can actually make leptin resistance worse. It's like turning up the volume on a broken radio. You're just gonna get more static. And here's the cruel irony, the things that cause leptin resistance: chronic inflammation, poor sleep, high stress, processed foods, and chronic dieting. My breakthrough came when I realized that fixing this wasn't through willpower. It was about addressing the root cause. When I reduced inflammation, improved my sleep, and I gave my metabolism a chance to heal, my hunger cues finally normalized. And I could stop thinking about food all the doggone time. That's frustrating in itself. Now I can eat a real meal and stay satisfied for a full 4 hours at least. I don't think about food all the time. And like I told y'all, I actually have to remind myself to eat sometimes. And that's what a normal hunger cue feels like. Mistake number 6 was overlooking my declining growth hormone and wondering why my body wasn't recovering and building muscle like it used to. Y'all, I was working out regularly, lifting weights. Y'all saw me during pregnancy too, doing everything right. But I felt like I was getting weaker instead of stronger. And I was sore for days after workouts that used to be simpler and easier for me. Now, growth hormone isn't just for growing. It's essential for our muscle building, fat metabolism, recovery, sleep quality, and even skin and hair health. Like that needed collagen, right? After age 30, growth hormone production declines by 14% per decade. By the time I hit 41, I was producing significantly less than I did in my 20s. And that's okay. So here's the signs I was missing: slower recovery, decreased muscle mass despite weight training, more body fat around the middle, hello, poor sleep quality, thinning skin and hair, and lower energy. But here's what's exciting. Research shows that you can naturally optimize your growth hormone through intermittent fasting. Boom. Increase GH by up to 1,300%. Do y'all hear me? High intensity exercise, quality sleep, specific nutrients, and managing stress. When I started incorporating intermittent fasting, which y'all know I have been loving on this year, which I also did in my 20s, and I started optimizing my sleep, I noticed changes within weeks. My workouts felt more effective, I was recovering faster, and my body composition started improving. Now at 41, I'm stronger and more muscular than I was in my early 30s. I feel like I found a cute little fountain of youth, but upgraded. It be your own hormones all along. It be your own hormones. So what happened when I stopped making these 6 hormone mistakes? Within the first month, my energy was stable throughout the day. The afternoon crashes disappeared. I was sleeping through the night, and my cravings for sugar dramatically decreased. By 3 months, I'd lost almost 20 pounds without counting calories. Heavily. Now, I was documenting things, but not every single day. My midsection was notably smaller, my workouts felt more effective, and my mood was more stable. At 6 months, I'd lost 40 pounds, and I feel like I'm keeping it off effortlessly. My body composition has changed. My body looks more muscular and more toned. Blood work showed improved insulin sensitivity. Thyroid markers, optimal. And I felt like myself again. And here's the best part. This isn't about perfect eating or extreme measures. It's about understanding your body's signals and working with your hormones instead of against them. Years later, I was not only able to maintain over 100-pound weight loss, but to gain weight and lose it again in my 40s. Baby, that's a flex. And guess what? I ain't fighting my biology no more. So where do you start? Here are my top 3 recommendations for y'all. Step 1 is to get proper lab work done. Not no guessing. Not watching YouTube videos. Just watch them to get your butt to the doctor. Don't settle for normal. Demand optimal. Test your comprehensive thyroid panel, fasting insulin, cortisol rhythm, and inflammatory markers. Step 2 is to start with that insulin sensitivity. This is the foundation. Implement strategic eating patterns. Prioritize your protein. I've told y'all I get in about 150 grams a day when I can, or somewhere in that area. And consider natural insulin sensitizer like berberine. And step 3, address the stress-sleep hormone cycle. You can't out-diet chronic stress. I'ma just tell you. Prioritize sleep, implement your stress management, and support your nervous system. You deserve it. And I think eventually I'm going to put together a checklist for y'all that's just simple and easy, but check it out in the description as soon as I got it, okay? So listen, if you've been struggling with unexplained weight gain, constant fatigue, or feeling like your body is working against you, it's probably not your fault. It's probably a lot of hormone mistakes. You don't have to accept this as it's just what happens after your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and beyond. You don't have to settle for feeling tired and frustrated with your body. So let me know which one of these hormone mistakes resonated with you the most. Drop a comment down below and let me know. I read every single one, y'all know that, and I love connecting with you. If this video helped you to understand better what might be going on with your body, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe for even more evidence-based health content. Check out my LTK for all the items that are affordable to help you in your health journey. Also get into the season 2 of the Now That's Life podcast. And if you didn't know I had a podcast, catch up on season 1. And also check out my website where you can find everything you need and more. And remember, your hormones can either work for you or work against you, but choose to work with them and watch your body transform, y'all. Dr. Nina signing out, beautiful brown baby doll. Peace.